Shalom, everyone. I decided to not really change the plan, but to talk today about jewelry, and then tomorrow to give a 10-minute class about weapons and women, um, because it's the parsha of the men going to fight with Midian, and we're learning about Hotza'ah, and there's an opinion that guns are considered tachshit, which literally means jewelry. So even for women, instead of the prohibition that a lot of rabbis suggested, because a woman is not supposed to go to battle, because they make guns that are specifically for women today, and the situation, at least in Israel, is such that as many civilians who carry a gun creates a harder time for the terrorists to attack. So that's why we'll discuss that tomorrow. So, as we have seen, the prohibition of hotza'ah does not apply to items that are secondary to the body. Therefore, one may go out in Rishut Rabim, the public domain, wearing all types of clothing. Following this line of reasoning, it would seem that jewelry, which is used to beautify a person, should be considered secondary to the body as long as it is worn on the body or clothes and should not present a problem of hotza'ah. So we'll go through the process of how it changed. Nevertheless, the sages were concerned that a woman might want to show her friend her jewelry and thus remove it, hold it, forget about Shabbat, and walk 4 amot or 6 feet in the public domain, thus violating the Torah law. So I think with rings, it's safe to say that most people don't take off their rings because it will fall and get lost. But earrings or bracelets or other kind of necklaces, etc., they might want to show their friends their newest piece of jewelry. So therefore, the sages prohibited wearing all jewelry that one might want to show someone else. This includes earrings, bracelets, rings, necklaces, and headbands. So that's how it was in the Talmud. However, since the time of the Rishonim, women customarily go out wearing jewelry on Shabbat. I don't think that we ever discussed who called them Rishonim, and Rishonim literally means firsts, and then we are what's called Achronei Achronim, the last of the last, in terms of the halachic process. So there were five Geonim um, in Babylon, and they were taking a boat somewhere in the Mediterranean, and they were the whole boat was taken captive. These people were not strong enough to be sold as slaves, but when they realized that they're Jewish, they recognized that many communities will gladly pay a large sum for their release, and that's how the Torah spread from Babylon to North Africa, Spain, France, and other places. And then they were called Rishonim by the people after the expulsion of the Jews from Spain in 1492. So that is technically the break point, and a good example of an Acharon is Rabbi Yosef Karo and the Rama in Krakow, and so they called themselves Achronim, and that's how we have that term. So during the time of the Rishonim, women customarily do go out wearing jewelry on Shabbat. That's a historical fact. The poskim disagree regarding why this has been the case. Some say that while it is true that technically it is rabbinically prohibited, the rabbis did not try to prevent the practice when it became widespread because they came to the conclusion that even if they were to protest, the women would not change their ways. And so sometimes it's better not to say something that it's called Tov Shelo Lomar Devar Shelo Nishma. It's better not to say something that people won't listen to. That is the suggestion of the poskim. Therefore, the rabbis preferred not to publicize the prohibition, as it is better that people transgress unknowingly rather than knowingly. Rabbi Shmuel Herzfeld this morning also talked about such a law that is not publicized, but for the opposite reason, because if it was publicized, intermarriage will be a lot more rampant in our midst. Other poskim tried to provide some justification for the practice, explaining that the reason for the rabbinic prohibition was the concern that people would end up carrying 4 amot in Rishut Rabim, and thus violates Torah law. Nowadays, however, when according to many there is virtually nowhere that meets the criteria of the public domain biblically by Torah law, even if one does end up carrying jewelry, it will not be a Torah transgression. We do not extend the prohibition on going out with jewelry into areas considered Reshut HaRabim rabbinically, as there is a principle that we do not enact a rabbinic safeguard around a rabbinic safeguard. So that would fall into the category of shvut to shvut. Like we saw yesterday, that telling a non-Jew to push a wheelchair is permitted because the non-Jew is not obligated to keep Shabbat. It's just that we didn't want people to change Shabbat into a regular day by having the goy do all kinds of things, and so again, that was it was rabbinic that they forbade wheelchairs, but it's what's again two shvuts. Others say that since jewelry is more common now, we do not need to worry that a woman will remove her jewelry in the street to show her friends. Therefore, even in an area that is Reshut HaRabim by Torah law, one may wear jewelry on Shabbat. Since the entire issue is rabbinic, one may rely on the lenient opinions. Indeed, women customarily go out wearing jewelry even where there is no Eruv. So, as I said before, tomorrow we'll talk about guns for women, but even more so guns on Shabbat for men and women, and we'll finish this chapter with Halacha 15 on Monday, Bezrat Hashem. So we'll open up for questions.